The Philadelphia Eagles have had an interesting problem this offseason, and one that many teams would be longing to have. There are too many chefs in the kitchen when it comes to the cornerback position, and as things stand with both starters in their contract year, it can lead to some very interesting conversations. Do you really stagnate some of the tremendous young talent on the team if you don't plan on bringing either Mills or Darby back? As the carousel begins to spin, I decided to stop it at 4 different points to view the plausible depth chart and see which one looks the best on paper. My name is Liam Jenkins, and thank you for tuning in to Philly Sports Network. If you're new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and drop your opinions down below. Who are the corners that you want to see take to the field next season? And as always, you can get content from myself and all of our writers at phillysportsnetwork.com. Before we do dive into it though, we need to understand why we're doing so. Yes, the Eagles are returning both of their outside starters from 2018, but Jalen Mills has missed OTAs due to recovering from the injury that ended his 3rd season in the NFL, and Ronald Darby is still making his way back from a similar situation. On top of that, the Eagles ranked 25th in interceptions last year, and the man leading the team in that category wasn't just a backup, but he was shoved so far down the depth chart that the team literally brought in a corner off the street who ran into Jordan Hicks on one play before they finally decided that giving him the starting shot was their only option left. Allowing 4,308 yards, which ranked him 30th in the NFL against the pass, the Eagles have battled cornerback criticism for quite some time now. They have the talent to end that discussion, but will it get on the field? Let's look at our first possible depth chart, and this one's just titled Same Old Story because it's the same old story. There's no change in option number 1. Darby and Mills start outside with Sidney Jones lined up in the nickel, picking up where they left off last season and giving the Eagles one more year to see which pieces they carry moving into 2020. Avonte Maddox sits ahead of Douglas on the depth chart because of just how ridiculously impressive he was as a rookie, while Captain Cravon will be the backup to Sidney Jones at that CB3 spot. It's entirely likely that given the injury history of all 3 starters, the depth guys do get some playing time, but when the green flag drops, the Eagles stick to what they know. This option acts as a great starting point because if you can immediately make the argument that either Maddox or Douglas deserve to be on the field over Mills or Jones for very different reasons, then it sparks a catalyst for these conversations. One has been consistently inconsistent as a starter, fighting the same old habits, while the other has battled injury problems despite some impressive flashes during his young career. While the 2 depth guys were Saul Douglas and Avonte Maddox, we don't need to hammer the table at this point. I think their arguments were made very clear during 2018. Avonte Maddox at time being the glue that kept that faltering secondary together, and Rasul Douglas shining whenever dropped in the deep end. So, let's shake it up a bit and move on to number 2. This one is going to cause a couple of head turns for sure. Ronald Darby is your CB1, but it's Rasul Douglas that moves up outside, replacing Sidney Jones. Now, a lot of you will be grabbing those pitchforks with your Avonte Maddox flags in hand, but I beg you to wait just 1 second. Rasul Douglas Hive, it's time to stand up. Given that Jalen Mills has been inactive during the off-season program up to this point, it's fair to assume that his starting spot hangs in the balance ahead of training camp. The question is, would it go to Maddox or Douglas? Both impressed during OTAs, and both are looking to build on a surprisingly impressive 2018. For this solution though, we're finally going to give Rasul the credit he deserves. Maddox is 1 draft class younger than Douglas, affording the Eagles some optionality here. Depth is light at safety, and after Maddox really took to the stormy seas like a shark as a rookie, having never played the position before, the Eagles may look to shift him up to a safety role, supporting Rodney McLeod and giving them some much needed flexibility and overall talent behind that starting tandem. As of right now, the Eagles need to get their best defensive backs on the field, and if Andrew Sandejo is indeed cut in order to gain a future 4th round compensatory pick, it leaves Blake Countess and Trey Sullivan behind that starting tandem. Maddox is a definite upgrade, and that means that Douglas, Jones and Maddox all see the field. Hooray! But now let's spice it up a bit. Option number 3. Ronald Darby remains CB1, Sidney Jones moves outside to CB2, and Avonte Maddox takes over the nickel role. In every variation up to this point, Sidney Jones has been the nickel corner, but surely the 2nd round pick has to be pushed outside at some stage. He endured a rocky season in 2018, filled with highs, lows and everything in between, but I think there was enough promise to start the Washington product over Jalen Mills and ensure his progression continued. By shifting Jones outside, it opens the doors for Avonte Maddox to return to the role in which he made his own at Pittsburgh. The 5'9" corner is a little undersized, lending himself very nicely to that role at the next level, as we saw during his rookie year. Maddox is everything you could want in a nickel cornerback. Speedy, willing, and as reactive as a nuclear weapon. His small frame is misleading, with the former Panther packing quite a rapid punch after posting a 4.39 40 time at the NFL Combine. This variant gives the Eagles speed and potential, headed by a natural CB1. You can all put your feet up, this is about as blissful as it gets, until we break the wheel with option number 4. I really hate to be that guy. Spoiler alert, I don't. But is the secondary really that depleted without Darby or Mills? Is it possible that either is traded between now and the start of the season in order to cash in on their value? Rasul Douglas was reportedly a trade target for several teams around the window of the NFL draft, and let's not forget how and when Ronald Darby was originally acquired by the Eagles. Maybe I'm just going against the grain here, but I really feel as though this, in some hypothetically perfect universe, would be the best trio for the Eagles to roll out if they were confident in the health and progression of Sidney Jones. The Washington product has a lot to prove and can only do so if given an opportunity. That's not to say he can't be moved around and pulled if things don't go to plan, but having Jones, Maddox and Douglas all on the field at the same time, all are corners who are contracted past next season, it just feels like the most sustainable group to build around. In the closing weeks of 2018, it was this very trio, including Crayvon LeBlanc, that not only helped secure a playoff berth, but then went on to also nearly overthrow the New Orleans Saints. Why not let nature take its course and allow the cream to rise to the top? Mainly because they're paying quite a hefty bit of money for Ronald Darby and Jim Schwartz is somehow infatuated with Jalen Mills. But that is besides the point. I want to know what variation you guys want to see in 2019. Comment either A, B, C or D down below and give me some reasons why. Thank you so much for all of the support, guys. There is a new Eagles film room coming tomorrow. We have got daily uploads between now and Sunday, so strap yourselves in, buckle up. You can follow me on Twitter at Liam Jenkins PSN. I'll see you soon.